Chapter 3. The Eerie Fog. During the night there was a terrible windstorm. When Chisel awoke the next morning, the wind had ended, and a very thick fog had rolled in from the sea. He looked through the misty fog at the forest's edge, where the trail was that he needed to take to the lighthouse. Then he froze. Something was also looking at him. He looked closer and realized it was a leopard. He was definitely not going to walk on the forest trail to Dilper's Point now. Then a thought struck him. What if I sail there? He had seen an old raft up the beach, and with that he could sail straight there. He realized, though, that he might also get lost out at sea in the fog. He told himself, I don't want to, but I got to. Chisel then looked at his map and set sail at 166 degrees southeast. After he had paddled for several hours, a seagull suddenly flew down and landed on the back of the raft. Whoa! Chisel yelled, surprised. She and Chisel were about the same height, and for a moment they just looked at each other. Then, while waving both hands, Chisel shouted, Shoo! The seagull just looked at Chisel for a couple of seconds. Then she promptly shrieked, Caw! This shocked Chisel, and he stared back at the seagull. Shoo! He yelled louder. Caw! Shoo! Caw! They yelled back and forth. Then they both turned in opposite directions and ignored each other. Chisel started paddling again. But after so much paddling, his arms were starting to ache, and he was getting scared that he would not make it all the way, and that the tide would take him out to sea where he would be lost forever. As he rowed, he listened to the soft splashing sound the oar made in the water and imagined them making a song. Chisel turned around and said, Hey, Seagull, look, I'm sorry for the shoe remark. Please excuse me. The seagull looked at Chisel and then back toward the back of the raft and flew off. Chisel carefully looked above himself, hoping the seagull would not drop anything on him. After a while, he noticed the seagull had come flying back about 30 feet to the right side of the raft. She was squawking at something in the water like she was talking to it. Then she landed in the water, but not with her body, with her feet, so that it looked like she was standing on the water. Then she started moving through the water toward the raft like she was surfing, but with no surfboard and with no waves. Chisel was amazed. This seagull was talented. When she got close to the raft, the seagull jumped onto the end of it. A second later, Chisel suddenly felt the whole raft lift up into the sky and start going faster. Very timidly, he moved toward the side of the raft and looked over to see how he was flying. To his surprise, the raft was sitting on the back of a whale, which was swimming toward the point. Within 15 minutes, Chisel could faintly see the point approaching through the fog. When they were very close, the whale suddenly blew through his blowhole, sending Chisel and the raft flying through the air. The raft landed with a huge splash on top of a big wave, and Chisel rode it like a surfboard onto the sand. He found a boat dock toward his right, with a sailboat tied to it, and some old wooden stairs on the left that led up the cliff. After climbing many stairs to the top of the cliff, he collapsed onto his back and rested on some grass. A few seconds later, without any notice, a loud flapping noise shook him awake, and he opened his eyes just in time to see the seagull land right on his stomach. Chisel was too tired to move or say, "Shoo!" So he just lay there and frowned up at the seagull. He had made it to the lighthouse, but that is where the trouble would begin.